In this episode, we take a look at more toys that slipped between my fingers. So, stick around. Hello everybody and welcome to Nostalgia Syndrome. My name is Rob and in this episode we take a look at more toys I wish I had as a kid. This is the 9th installment of this series and to be honest I don't see any signs of it slowing down. Now this is a special Halloween episode where I'll focus on monsters and creepy stuff and aliens and all those awesome toys I wish I had as a kid. So, without further ado, let's take a look at number 1 on the list. Number 1 on the list is Scareglow from Masters of the Universe. Released in 1987, this awesome glow-in-the-dark skeleton was the pinnacle of toy technology when it came to action figures. Scareglow was one of the last figures released for the toy line, and I mean this guy was just so awesome looking. I mean the skeletal features, the glow-in-the-dark attributes, his long purple cape, cloak, whatever you want to call it, I mean just perfection. When he was released there was a small scuttlebutt within the community because his tagline said evil ghost of Skeletor. And a lot of people thought that that meant it was actually Skeletor's ghost. Which is weird, but yeah, it involves time travel and Skeletor going through time and space to get Scareglow and Ninjor, and yeah, people thought that it was Skeletor's ghost from the future that Skeletor brought back in time. I mean, yeah, that's some Chris Nolan stuff for a bunch of kids in the 80s to come up with. I mean, pretty cool, but in all honesty, he was just a ghost in the service of Skeletor that had somehow been imprisoned by Skeletor to do his evil bidding for him. In the collector's world, Scareglow is one of the most sought-after figures in the original line and is one of the most expensive. I can see why. I mean, this is something that would be a beautiful showcase on anyone's shelf, in anyone's collection. And, I mean, the fact that the dude never even appeared in the cartoon, only in toy form and in the comic somewhat, the mini-comic at least. I mean, that's pretty awesome that he has that big of a following. There's been some re-releases of Scareglow, and they are equally as awesome and equally as expensive. Hold on a second, before we get to number 2, I just realized something. This is Halloween, and I'm missing my patented hat. So, hold on. Whew, okay. Much better, much better. Anyway, number 2 on the list is the big bad villain from the Power Lords toy line, and that is Arkus. Released by Revell in 1983, Arkus was the major villain from the Power Lords toy line. This purple humanoid insect was, I mean, awesome. He was designed by sci-fi and fantasy artist Wayne Barlow, and it shows. Barlow was known for some of his off-the-wall creature designs, and the Power Lords toy line showed it. I mean, honestly, any of those toys could appear on anyone's Halloween list. Weirdest toys, scariest toys, toys that could fit in a Clive Barker universe. The Arkus figure featured 2 different play features, if you will, and that is flapping wings and grabbing claws, which, here, let this commercial show you.
Power Lords,
extraterrestrial warriors.
I am Lord Power, leader of the Lords.
Griptog and Roygoth are attacking.
We must help Psyduck defend Balkan Rock.
Power Lords.
Griptog has 4 fists. Psyduck is finished. It's Lord Power. He zapped Griptog's head. But Arkus has Psyduck.
Power Lords.
Atom Power's Psyduck, Grip, Tog, and Arkus are each sold separately from the Power Lords collection, new from Revell.
Okay, I don't know if that's scary, because he's helping that lizard dude smile. I mean, that seems like a good guy thing for me. I mean, he can't be that evil, can he? Number 3 on the list comes from the Transformers toy line, and that is Bludgeon. Released in 1989, Bludgeon was one of the pretenders that they were Transformers that were a lot smaller, like Minicon size, not a big intricate transformation, and they fit inside little humanoid bodies. Now, in most cases, yeah, they pretend to be humans. But in Bludgeon's case, they pretend to be a skeletal samurai warrior. I don't know what you're pretending, but you ain't walking around on the streets looking like that. Bludgeon himself was a little green tank, but this skeletal samurai warrior, that is what I'm talking about. That is a great monster toy, horror toy. I mean, the only thing that it was missing was a sword, which was weird. I mean, he came with a gun, but why no sword? He became one of the most popular later issued figures of all time, and even in the Marvel comic book, they made it canon that he became the leader of the Decepticons. So I guess he beat Galvatron at the time to take leadership. I'm not well versed in the later years of the comics, so I really don't know, but I'll let my imagination fill in the blanks. Another little factoid is that he was master of Metallicado, which is a Cybertronian form of martial arts. Now that's awesome, and that would have been something I would have loved to see in the cartoon. Him kicking the crap out of Hot Rod? Sign me up. Number 4 on the list comes from a toy line that I can't talk enough about. I've devoted a few episodes to this amazing 80s toy line, and that is LJN's Dungeons & Dragons figures. The toy that I talk about this time is the Hook Horror. These slightly bigger and bulkier monster figures were awesome. At the time when they came out in 1983, I had no idea about the whole Dungeons & Dragons thing. And I've mentioned it before that some of my parents' friends were gamers, which I didn't know at the time, that collected these figures. And they lined the shelves in their little office area. And I loved them. I stared at these things for what seemed like hours. But the Hook Horror always spoke to me. With its bird-like face, its hook-like arms. I mean, it just looked awesome, and I don't know a better way to describe it. It's still one of my most favorite creatures from Dungeons & Dragons, other than when they turned it into an insect thing. I think that lacks a lot of imagination, but a bird with hooks? Now that's what I'm talking about. Anyway, this toy, for its awesome size, was not very articulated. Only its neck and its arms would move, but I guess that's all you really need. Again, with it being a little bit of a bigger size, that meant a bigger price tag, and my parents weren't going for that. Now, number 5 on the list, I guess technically isn't really a toy, but who cares? This is my list, and when I was first exposed to it, it was in one of my friend's toy chests, and that is Jack O. Lantern's Family. Made by Pumpkin Productions in 1987, Jack O. Lantern's Family were a group of foam pumpkins with really awesome expressions. I mean, they went from a grisly expression to a funny expression, and they were all a family that each one came with a little tag that told a little backstory, like where they were born in a pumpkin patch and what year and how they came together and made their family. I think one of the coolest things about this toy line is its origin. It was created by Todd Masters, who is a Hollywood makeup effects artist that did amazing work on movies such as Predator, Big Trouble in Little China, and Poltergeist 2. I mean, 2 out of 3 of those are some of my favorite movies of all time, so the dude knows what he's doing. These pumpkins were released with a price tag of $30, and they became very popular. So much, in fact, that the next year they released more in the family and babies in the line, so little smaller ones with a smaller price tag. And following the next year in 1989, there was a huge influx of rip-offs and off-brand releases. Everything from ceramics to plastic to foam, just like the original ones were. Now again, like I said, this was in my friend's toy box, like it was just a normal toy for him to play with. And I could see that. You imagine this big pumpkin thing like MODOK or something going across the battlefield, gobbling up Joes or He-Man characters or what have you. That would be pretty awesome, I think. But this is the same friend that I mentioned in a previous Toys I Wish I Had as a Kid episode, where I talk about the Crusher toy that, yeah, just like the awesome Crusher toy, he destroyed his Jack-O-Lantern decoration. Because it was foam, he had a good time ripping into it, shooting blowgun darts into it and everything else. And all that stuff just ripped my soul out. How I could go back in time and save that poor little Jack-O-Lantern toy decoration thing. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. If you got something to say, please leave a comment. I love reading them and I love getting back to everybody. And if you're new around here and you enjoyed this or any of the episodes that YouTube is recommending down here, please hit subscribe. And if you hit that little bell icon, you will be notified whenever there's a new episode. So anyway, thanks for watching. Keep being rad and stay dorky.